Welcome to the new look TFC. This is how we are rolling. As you can see, my background we have changed, just a few things adjusting here and there. And as you can see behind me, there are shelves there that are really in need of books. Yes, I love reading, and if you have a book that you wish to donate to the TFC, in short to me, so that I can read and get more insight on how to go about through the things and the issues that we share on this channel, I welcome you to go ahead and donate it, and we'll glorify the Lord because of it all. We thank the Lord because of the far that He has brought us, and we don't take it for granted. And what happened yesterday night? You watched the presidential debate, and does God has anything to do with the elections that are just some few days ahead? What does the Bible has to say about it? We are going to see this immediately after the introduction. So many people think that, God has nothing to do with elections. God has nothing to do with leadership. God has nothing to do with everything that happens every day of our lives. But I came to encourage you and to tell you and to surprise you to so many that God has a say, even in our elections. In the book of Proverbs chapter 16, verse 33, I will read from the New Living Translation, and it says, "We may throw the dice, but the Lord determines how they fall." We may throw the votes, we may cast the votes, but let me surprise you, it is the Lord who will determine the outcome, whether you like it or not. Sometimes people will say, and we have seen this in our news houses, it is on record, as they were saying on other debates, that kimeibiwa, kilibiwa. Let me surprise you and tell you this: God has a take in it. I'm not saying He takes part in stealing the way they say. No, all I'm saying is that the will of God has to prevail. When God has appointed this leader, that is the one who is going to spearhead His people and lead His people into the places that God has designed and destined, then that is the person who will exactly get the votes to get him into the place where God wants him to be in leadership, so that he can lead His people into his destination. And there is one thing that I love about God: whether people talk or not, the desire of God must come to prevail. Whatever God has desired, it must come to prevail. And there are things that God will really do. Sometimes they will surprise us, because the will of man is not the will of God. And sometimes the preferred candidate that we think in our hearts we are going to cast the votes for, that might not necessarily be the candidate that God has in heart that should rule His people. Yes, there are some times that God will let you be because of your own idolatry, because of your own rebellion, and He says, have it your own way. And then you suffer, and then you can get a chance and you can get an opportunity to call unto God so that He can come and deliver you. And yes, He's still involved in all these things. Sometimes God will lead us into the right leader so that we don't waste so much time getting involved and engaged in other activities that will bring harm unto us. All I am saying is this: our duty is to go and cast the vote. The outcome, we leave it to God. It doesn't matter who gets into power. It doesn't matter who goes where. Our duty as the citizens of this nation is to go and cast the votes. Whether our preferred candidate wins or not, that we leave it into the hands of God. The book of Romans chapter 13, it goes ahead to encourage us and tell us, everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. This is the New Living Translation, and I love how it is bringing out that we should submit, we should agree, we should say, this is who was elected, then it is okay. Let them lead us and let them guide us as a nation. If there is one thing that we think, that the leadership, no matter how wicked it can be, that it is not from God. Sometimes I told you earlier on that God will allow bad people in leadership for us to be in a position to call ourselves a meeting and ask ourselves, really, have we forsaken awaken God this much. And when he go back to the heart of God, he's in a position to replace the bad leaders with good leaders. And one thing that I came to realize as we were having a debate on the youth, the role of youth in politics, I came to realize it's not just about who gets into presidency, it's also about who gets to be the opposition leader. Because if we have a strong opposition leader, then it means the government will be pushed to do things that, as much as right now we are seeing things and people are saying things are not getting done, the strong opposition will be in a position to push the government to do the things they promised. And as much as we want so and so to become the president, we also need to ask ourselves, who will be the opposition leader? We need to understand that all authority, everyone in position, has been ordained by God, and we need to submit to them, as Romans chapter 13 verse 1 is telling us. So you watched the debate yesterday night. It was amazing. And yes, right now you already know I am voting for so and so. And again, you already know that this and this person and this candidate has my interest at heart and in the manifestos that they have brought about. So go ahead. It is your duty. It is your democratic right to go and vote. But the outcome, we leave it to God. This is the Faith Crusaders, where we are all about revealing Christ-like attitudes of awakening. God bless you, and see you in our next show.